Yoga Art Space Studio. I'm recording this intro separate than the rest of the video because I found out in editing that I accidentally cut my head off. I zoomed in a little bit too much, and I saved a little section of that for you to watch and laugh with me about. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about what this video is. So if you've never done Yin Yoga before, this is a type of yoga where you hold poses quite a bit longer. It helps you get right up to the edge of your stretch, right up to that deepness, and then hold it for an extended period of time. This is very different than our regular hatha or vinyasa classes because you're not moving just through the yang tissues, the muscles, but you're holding longer, so it helps you get deeper into the fascia, into the bones, into the ligaments, deep into the tissues. This helps with overall flexibility and with circulation. And the theme that I chose for our practice today has to do with the kidney meridian with Chinese medicine. The kidneys in Chinese medicine are known to hold emotions such as panic, fear, anxiety, all sorts of things that are going on right now with the pandemic, with the coronavirus. And so the goal in this Yin Yoga is to work poses all through that kidney meridian to help us get a chance to work out and work through some of the fear that's going on right now. I know this virus has touched us all in very different ways. Some of us economically, some of us more with health or with fear, having to get quarantined and staying in. So it's affecting us all. We're all in this together. And so this Yin practice is helping us to meet that fear right where it's at and then work through it, process it. The kidneys have the adrenal glands right on top of it. And the adrenals are known for that fight or flight response. And so our goal today is to slow down, to get out of fight or flight, and to get a chance to breathe and to process some of the things that are going on by meeting it right where it's at, by being with it. And so here you are, on to the rest of the video. Hope you laugh with me about my cut off head. If you have a yoga block, there's different places where that could come in handy today. It's not required for any of it, but it can be really helpful. I know if you're stuck at home, you may not have a yoga block, but usually around the house there's different things that you can rig to have the same idea. So if you maybe if you have some thicker blankets that are less fluffy, you could maybe roll them up into a tight ball and kind of do like a bolster idea. That would work just as fine for this class. If you have a stack of books even, that would work. Find something that might work for you. Worst case scenario, grab a couple of pillows and that'll work as well. So as we're getting started today, I like to start laying all the way back, and don't mind me with my phone today. That's going to help me keep track of time so we can have balance between one side and the next. It's a little bit harder to keep track when we're holding for 3 minutes for a pose. And grab your block. If you need to pause the video to grab it, that's fine. And then when you're all ready, join me laying all the way down onto the ground. And so as you're comfortable, your back is feeling good, your legs are feeling open. Take a few good deep breaths. With our inhale, we inhale for the space of 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take a few more breaths just like this. Inhale 4, exhale 6. This breath I'm going to remind you to take as we travel through the class today. This breath is extremely powerful at helping us to come to that calmer space within our body, more relaxed, more rejuvenated. And we need that calmness because of all the craziness that people want us. They want us to take on their energy oftentimes, and we don't have to. We can meet whatever's going on, even if we don't understand it. We can meet it with a sense of grace still. So, keeping that breath, begin to plant your feet. And the first yin pose we're taking on today is going to be a version of legs up the wall. This version just uses a block, and then you're going to slide that right under your hips and let your legs float upward. If the low block height is a little bit too low, you can always bump it up a little bit taller, as tall as even up to the third height if you'd like to. Make sure you feel that balance. You're on the sacrum, not on the bumpy vertebrae. So when you got that in place, I'll start to bring the knees in toward the chest, again finding the balance. And then one leg and then the other floats up to the sky. You don't have to be super rigid here. You don't have to have the straightest legs possible. You can have some bend, some relaxation, even through the spine, letting it receive more of a rounded shape. That's one of the things about Yin Yoga, is we're not so rigid. We're not so much about having the perfect shape, but rather about getting to the edge. So we are feeling a good stretch wherever we're at, and just enjoy your way there. So we've got several minutes that we're going to be here. And so already start off. Inhale, 4 counts. Exhale, 6. There's something very powerful about inverting, in that it naturally brings us into a little bit calmer of a mindset, and especially of the breath. In aerial yoga, one of the types of styles that I teach, you're able to do a complete inversion, just hooking your legs around the fabric, and then your whole spine just hangs upside down. And one of the things that I notice, especially when I'm doing one of the inversions for an extended period of time, like 10 or 15 minutes, I notice the first thing that begins to happen is that my breath slows. So let this relationship to gravity, let it help switch things up for you. It's like a new perspective for ourselves. It's like, what if I could walk around with my feet up at the sky? What if that was how we traveled? It's a very different way of living. What if we could invert the way that we feel about this virus? If we're acting in fear and panic and stress, Maybe we're not letting ourselves be with whatever it is the virus is trying to teach us as a collective humanity right now. So let yourself be with fear of the economy. Let yourself feel what it feels like for the stock market to be going lower, for businesses to be closing, for people to be out of work for an indefinite period of time. Let's take one more good inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Gently we'll work our way out so the knees bend. When you have your balance, one foot plants and then the other. Lift your hips to remove the block or whatever props you have. And then the sacrum takes a little while to want to return back to normal. So what I want us to do, just take some time letting both knees fall to the right, both knees fall to the left. And just notice how this is loosening some things up in that low back. Also feel that wonderful rush of blood back into the legs. I love that sensation. It's like we're suddenly feeling that body with fresh, oxygen-rich blood, whereas maybe things had been a little bit stagnant previously. That's my favorite thing about legs upward like that, is the blood pressure in the feet is almost 0, which doesn't happen any other time. Usually our feet swell. Okay, keep on going a little bit longer if your sacrum and your low back needs it. Whenever you feel like it's okay, you're ready to come up toward a seated place. Roll over to a side and press your way up. And from this place, we're going to take a butterfly pose. That's what we call it in Yin Yoga. In regular yoga, this is simply a cobbler pose. Now in Yin, like I mentioned, we're holding this longer, so you want to make sure you're setting yourself up to a good first edge, and then let yourself play with it, just seeing how your body responds. So if your feet need to be further forward to allow you space to travel down, go for it. If scooting close is still accessible, go for that. Posture tall, tilt forward. And then in Yin, rather than forcing our way to stay at a rigid spot, begin to melt. Let the body relax. If your head is traveling down to a place where the block would be helpful for your head, maybe start resting your head downward. Know that in Yin, we're trying to keep ourselves maintained in a place where the stretch is pretty deep the whole time. We're not just, that's the difference between Yin and restorative. In restorative, we kind of relax there the whole time. In Yin, we try to find our edge and try to meet ourselves close to the edge the whole time. So for instance, if I'm sitting here with the block at the tall height, maybe after a minute or so, I'll try to readjust and see if the middle height is ready. If that's still a little bit too far, add some fingers or some fists, giving yourself the chance to find a good edge to maintain at. So here, breathe, relax. Even with us leaning forward into our belly, can you take inhale for 4 counts and exhale for 6? Let's take 3 more slow, deep breaths. Inhale 4, exhale 6. After that last exhale, you want to support your spine as you start to rise. So first you plant your hands, and then gradually you straighten your arms, walking the hands in. After stretching so deeply, our muscles don't just want to jump right out of a stretch. So take your time supporting your way back up. Once you're upward, start to free out your legs one at a time. And let your legs have some looseness. So maybe you're doing kind of windshield wipers like we did a moment ago. Or maybe you're just wiggling your knees up and down. Nice and comfortable, relaxed for your body, for your spine. Good. Here we aim to head into saddle pose. So this is going to be a quadricep stretch for our thighs. We start off with the knees close together. The feet are separated, so they're wider, and we want to grab our calves and rotate them outward, trying to sit in between the feet. Some people can make it all the way down, some people cannot. So that's another place where you can grab your block at any height, even the tall height, and come to sit onto it. We'll take a couple of breaths upright from here, and then we're going to start making our way backwards to any degree to get into that stretch. So first, just receive your hips and even your ankles in this position. If ankles are uncomfortable, you can flex them, you can point them, whatever is going to help you go comfortably here. Even if you need to make the knees extra wide to allow yourself space for sitting like this, that's fine too. Find yourself in a good, comfortable position. Let's take 3 breaths to settle into this place. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. After that 3rd breath, if this is where your knees and everything will be the most comfortable, you can stay. Some of us can start aiming our hands a little bit further behind us. If you're up on the block, this might be a little bit harder, so no need to put any pressure on the knees. But if you start aiming your way backwards, sometimes just leaning to this point is enough to really feel the quads. So this is an okay place to stay. Some people will, you're almost at a stretch here, but not quite. You want a little bit more. So you can just scoop your tailbone under and up. That teeny tuck brings your legs right into the stretch. So that's perfectly welcome. If you're still there and you still want more, you're one of my flexible people, you can begin to work your way down to one elbow, maybe to both elbows. Some people can make their way all the way down onto their backs. So whatever the placement is that will help you to be deep and relaxed, find your way into that shape. Keep the breath flowing. Inhale, 4. Exhale, 6. Know that we don't want to hurt the knees here. So any sorts of bad feelings in the knees, sharp stabbing, throbbing, shooting type sensations, you can work your way back up to a place that's comfortable or even just do one leg at a time, even if it's just 5 or 6 breaths. Take 2 more deep, full breaths. Inhale 4, exhale 6. After that second breath, we start to reverse our way back out. Take every step you did to get into it. Take that in reverse. So head starts to rise. As soon as you can, start to tuck the elbows underneath, and then find your hands pressing you up. And then lifting your hips up, we're making our way all the way into a kneeling place where we can roll out our ankles, do a few cat-cows, nice moments for recovery. Even wagging your tail out, giving your spine a chance to move. If you'd like a downward facing dog for a moment, that's perfectly fine. Tucking your toes, lifting the hips up, wiggle your way around. Good. When that feels pretty good, the next pose we do all the way onto our belly. So relaxing all the way down onto our elbows. We take our Sphinx pose. So elbows under the shoulders. Now in regular Yang classes, we're forcing ourselves into this deep, deep back bend. In Yin, you can do that if that's what the best edge is for you. But you don't have to have so much muscular effort. You can kind of just relax into the skeleton. So normally you're pressing the shoulders down. With this one, you can melt the shoulders up by the ears, even grabbing your block so that you can rest your forehead down. Your back is still receiving the benefit of getting that arch. And so because we're holding here longer, you don't have to be quite so rigid about it. So relaxing, finding a good place to settle into. Feel the belly breathing into the earth. I love that sensation. It's like a little massage. Now this could be a great place to stay at for a bit longer. For some of us, you're pretty flexible. You're not really getting anything out of this. So if by this point your back is ready to try going deeper, we would head up into what's called seal pose in Yin Yoga. So with seal pose, your hands go a little bit wider than your mat, and they go pretty far in front of you so that you can just lift your way up into a comfortable back bend. Some people want to go deeper and deeper, walking all the way in. That's fine. You just want to be careful about the low back, that you're not making those lumbar vertebrae crunch too much. So find a good angle that's enough of a back bend. You're still relaxing into it. Feel the glutes relaxing. And wherever you are right now, we'll maintain that beautiful place for about 5 more breaths. Remember, inhale 4, exhale 6. From there, as we begin to work our way out, we can press our way up and travel back, taking a child pose as recovery for the spine. So with child pose, this is just a recovery pose. Knees can be wide, knees can be narrow, arms can be forward, arms can be backward. All of this is your preference. Just find the place where your spine feels good. It's like you're giving it a little gift after such a deep back bend. Now it gets to just melt to the other direction. So beginning to press our way up from here, our next pose is called caterpillar. This is a forward fold. We do this with legs coming forward. And again, you don't have to be so rigid about the shape. Usually in other classes, you reach for your feet and you pull your heart forward, and it's about really pulling yourself to the deepest stretch. In Yin, that's not the quality we're looking for. We're looking more like, think of chocolate under a lamp, and the chocolate's just getting more and more melty and it's starting to relax to gravity. That's what we're doing. We're finding a good stretch, but we're not forcing our way. We're just melting our way down into it. So I like to grab a block and just let my head relax onto it. If my block height wants to change or come in between my legs, any of these are fine. It's not about the shape that you're in so much as the experience, the traveling forward, the hips tilting forward, and then the muscles releasing, relaxing, finding a good place where you can breathe. So remember, inhale 4, exhale 6. By this point, your spine might be able to go toward whatever your next edge is. My recommendation, from the low back, think of lengthening your spine a little bit taller and then releasing back, undulating forward. See if there's a new edge that feels good, and then relax your way down toward that shape. And here we're approaching our final 3 deep breaths here. So remember, inhale 4, exhale 6. 2 more like that. After that final one, remember we find our hands planting and we support our spine up. If you're able to get your head resting down on something, sometimes we get this nice little marks of our block on our forehead, and that's great. It's our love of our body. We're doing awesome. We want to take another recovery pose. So with this one, we plant our feet, plant the hands behind you, and then take a moment lifting your hips up to reverse tabletop. You can be static or you can kind of wiggle around, get into some different areas that might have gotten tight from that. Take 2 more breaths. Good. Once we lower down, we're heading toward a dragonfly. So this is a wide leg forward fold. Very different muscles stretching out on our inner thighs. The big cue I have for you is the toes. The second toe stays pointing upward. We don't let the feet fall in. We don't let the feet fall out. We're stretching through the muscles that help it to stay upward. So a little bit of activity there. If you need to have slightly bent knees, that's okay. If you need to sit on the block so that you can stay upright to start off with, that's great. All of these are options you can take. If you can maintain the hips upright and start to tilt forward, then that'll be your variation. You're welcome to just take it nice and slow, one hand walking forward, and then the next. And again, just melt your way down into this shape. If you want block to rest your forehead onto, use it. It's there for us. If you're almost there and you need some fists, take it. Occasionally peek at the feet, making sure second toe is up, and then continue to melt. Be patient with the body. Oftentimes, I feel like my body is supposed to be in a certain shape compared to others. And when I feel that way, it's usually the time when I push my body too far into the stretch. And while I'm like, my ego gets a boost, I'm like, yeah, I can do awesome deep poses. Sometimes those are the times when I pull my body into bad things. And so the next week, you know, my hips or my back or whatever, I have to be a lot more slow and gentle because I did too much. So this isn't the time to force yourself further. Again, think of the melting chocolate, a melting crayon. That's the way that we're approaching this. Be slow, be gentle, be steady. And that's how we work through some of these kidney issues of panic and of fear. You can't just tell somebody, be flexible. Just like you can't tell somebody, don't be afraid. That's not how it works. But you give yourself presence. Wherever I'm at, I'm here with it. I'm breathing into it. I'm experiencing it. I'm not avoiding it. I'm not avoiding this pose or other poses, but I'm present with whatever my body is willing to relax into at this moment. So find yourself melting, releasing. We're doing good. And we've got about 3 more breaths at this beautiful place. After that third one, we start to walk the hands in, just like our normal routine to support the spine as we rise. Pick your legs up from the knees. And I want us to have a moment to play with windshield wipers, noticing the difference between narrow legs and wide legs for windshield wipers. So feel what it's like to have your legs together and rock them left and right. Feels pretty good. And now spread your feet at least as wide as your mat, if not slightly wider, and then take the windshield wipers that way. It's a very different experience. Neither's right, neither's wrong. With this one, you're able to get so deep into the internal rotation of the one leg at a time. So let's take one more to each direction. Good. Making our way down onto our backs. We're going to aim for a twist. So laying all the way down. With this twist, in Yin it's called twisted roots, because what we're going to do is cross one leg on top of the other before we relax our legs toward the twist. So in this case, let the left leg be down first, the right knee crosses over. Some people do the toe wrap. Some people don't want to or can't. It doesn't matter. But before we head to the twist, give yourself a moment to bump the hips just an inch or so to the right. Open up the arms to each direction, and then the knees start to fall to the left. And just like all the other poses, give yourself lots and lots of time to relax into the twist. That's what we're doing in our Yin class. We're breathing, we're opening to it. The biggest cue is right shoulder stays down. As long as that's happening, you're welcome to continue to push your spine toward a deep stretch or just melt your way there. Some people, they're having low back issues right now, so they don't want to twist so far. You can make sure that you're not going too far, if that's your case, by taking your block and resting it under that side, so that way it's limited in its ability to travel further. Or you can remove it and just let your muscles melt into whatever shape they're going to take today. Notice how in twists, the breathing is not quite as deep as when you're not in a twist. And so see if you can still find the belly breath happening, breathing all the way down into the belly. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Imagine the placement of the kidneys on the back. It's that nice low back lumbar area. So imagine this is giving you a chance to kind of squeeze out, not anything physical, but imagine we're squeezing and twisting out some of the energy that might be stuck in that kidney. So the panic feelings, the anger, the stress, the anxiety, things like that. Let yourself breathe. Breathe it right out where it can be eliminated through the bladder. Take 2 more deep breaths on this side. And then we reverse everything. Uncross the legs. Let the knees start to rise. Take your dear sweet time recentering the hips on the mat. If you need a windshield wiper or 2, that could be a beautiful transition before the second side. And only when your body feels ready, left leg wraps over, bump the hips to the left, and then find your way melting the knees over to the right side this time. Perhaps there's intense emotions coming up for you right now. My invitation, can you breathe into it? At the hard times of our life, when we don't know what to do with an emotion, our natural tendency is to stop breathing. And that's the worst thing we can do because that makes it stick into our body and that continues to suck our energy. So breathe now, giving yourself permission. What is asking to be a part of my awareness right now? What can I no longer ignore? What needs my attention? And also, what do I not have to do? Maybe part of this quarantine is that the world and the universe are telling us all we need to slow down. We need to breathe more. We need to take a break. We need to not be so hard on ourselves. We don't have to believe that I have to do this or my job won't survive, because look at it. So many people, their businesses are closed, myself included. And what I thought that needed my time, a day later was forced closed. There's nothing I could do about it. And so here we're breathing into our experience and giving ourselves permission that we don't have to hold the weight of the world on our shoulders. We're doing our little part to be a good person, share toilet paper if we know a neighbor that needs it. And then just relax into whatever is going on in this world. We don't control it. We don't have much control at all besides over ourselves. So give yourself permission to be happy, to breathe. Maybe take more naps at this time. Maybe that's what we need more of. One more good breath in and out. Uncross the legs. Take your time, letting your hips return back to the earth. Maybe when the hips are recentered, give it another chance to fall left, to fall right. Good. We've got one last pose we're going to take before our final Shavasana. So this last pose is Happy Baby pose. Another chance to get our feet up to the sky, flipping our reality around. So some people can reach onto ankles. Some people can come all the way to the feet. No matter which version you're doing, you want the head to be able to ultimately relax all the way down. So if this is where you've got, we begin to relax into it. The knees go wider than shoulders. The feet more or less stacking above the knees. And feel what it's like to breathe into this pose. The belly is more accessible than in the last pose, than in a twist. Yet there's this different kind of pressure on our hips. So breathe into that new awareness. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Imagine again where those kidneys are right on the ground. And imagine this gentle opening. It's like an invitation to the kidneys. Will you open? Will you relax and release some of that energy that you felt like you've had to carry? Let's breathe into it. It's interesting how some of the other poses, and it's different for everybody, but some of the other poses in Yin are not as intense as this one is for my body. And so this is one of those places that invites me. Can I be present with it? I want to let go. I want to get on to the next thing. Can I be present with this kind of intensity? Knowing that I'm not injuring myself. In fact, I'm opening up deep things. Can I be with it? We've got about 6 more slow breaths. Inhale for 4. Exhale 6. Good. Find yourself releasing. If there's any little movements that your body really wants you to take before Shavasana, take them. Maybe you're starting to rock your spine a little bit left and right. Maybe you grab back onto the feet and stretch the legs up to the sky, and then the other. Just give your body one last chance to move around, to wiggle, until eventually your body feels ready to head in toward our final Shavasana. So when you make your way here, find a beautiful final pose of relaxation, of surrender. All you have to do right now is keep that breath going. Inhale 4, exhale 6. Begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales. Introduce movement back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. And eventually roll over to a nice fetal position on one side. Take another 3 or 4 breaths until you're ready to rise all the way up. When we come up, take a comfortable seated position. Join our hands together in front of the heart. And feel. Feel into our kidneys, into our fears, our panics. Sometimes when we let ourselves be with these things, they start to lose their energy. So my invitation, how much can I be with this virus and what it's meant to teach us collectively? How much can I slow down? How much can I be responsible for my health and the health of others? How much can I be with uncertainty? Let yourself continue to ask questions like these as we travel forward. So with these thoughts to help lead us on into this beautiful day, let's wrap up this class we shared together with the sound of Om. Inhaling together now. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.